What defines you? What is the definition of yourself? What is yourself? How would you describe that? Can you define yourself by something that is changeable? That comes and goes, that is not lasting? It's difficult, isn't it? Sometimes we define ourselves with things that pass. We can be this way or that way, we can be inquisitive, we can be passive, we can be passionate, we can be in love, we can be rational, we can be irrational, we can be all sorts of things. That change. So it's a problem. If you define yourself with something that changes or that can potentially change at any time, at any point in time, it's a problem for your definition. Because if you identify yourself with something strongly, if you define yourself with something strongly that can change, then when that thing changes, you lose your identity, you lose your definition. So your definition was wrong in the first place. You cannot possibly define yourself with something that can change at any moment in time. It has to be something that is permanent. So look at yourself, look at your life and tell me, what is it that is permanent? What is it that doesn't change? What is it that doesn't come and go? Even your life, as you think is your life, starts with birth and ends with death, comes and goes. So it's not something absolute, it's not something limitless. It's not something absolute, is it? It's got its limitations. It comes and goes. So what is it? What is it in you, inside you, that defines you, that is absolute, that is limitless, that doesn't have limitations, that doesn't change? Can you find anything like that? Can you go inside yourself, look into yourself and say, what is it that really absolutely defines me, that doesn't change, that is absolute, that is limitless? You'd be hard-pressed to find it, isn't it? Because if you just identify yourself with this body-mind and follow your mind, follow your brain, and just be a total lackey of your body-mind, it would be very hard to find anything at all that can possibly define you in a way of absolute. It's actually not possible at all. And yet, think about it in a bit different way. Think about it this way. We live on this little planet that we call Earth, and who knows, probably there are many other planets and solar systems out there and many beings out there that we don't know about because our ignorance is just huge. And what we know is very little. And at this point in time, at this moment, second in time, there is a certain number of people, just human beings populating this earth. Not to talk about all other life that is populating this earth. Let's put that aside. So there is a certain number of billions of people living here. People come and go, people are born and people die. And if you identify yourself with a tiny little creature that is you at this point in time, that comes and goes, that changes all the time, that's run by its mind, by its brain, that follows the brain like a lackey, that just sort of doesn't see or ignores everything that is not part of this body-mind and part of this physical world that we think is the only thing that exists. What's the importance of it? What is the definition of it? It's pretty pointless, isn't it? It's pretty sort of so insignificant, really. It is so insignificant that no matter what sort of verbal diarrhea we go into and say, oh, I mean, my life as this person, is this body mind, is this whatever life form that's got a certain qualities, that's got a certain temperament, that's got a certain capabilities, and so on is so important. What I do in this tiny little moment in time from birth to death is so important. I mean, it's just a verbal diarrhea, isn't it? It's really so totally insignificant. totally insignificant. But, there is this absolute, changeless quality inside you that you can define yourself with, that you can identify with. And it does not depend on this cycle from birth to death, on this little planet in our material world that we perceive. But it's much wider than that, much larger than that. It's actually absolute, it's limitless. It contains countless worlds, it contains countless souls, it contains countless beings in different forms of existence. It contains everything that exists and doesn't exist. It's just limitless, absolute. And this is the only thing you can possibly define yourself with, identify with. Everything else comes and goes. Everything else changes, or is prone to change at any moment in time. No matter how much you cling on to it, no matter how much fanatically you sort of grasp onto it, you will lose it one day. If not before, you will lose it for sure the moment your body dies, your body-mind dies. And you're so certain that everything dies with it. You're so certain that there is nothing else but this one totally limited material world that you perceive. And you're just so wrong. And you identify yourself with these limitations, which is just so wrong again. That's why we struggle so much. That's why we struggle so much as human beings. Because we just don't understand how absolute, limitless our real nature is. We just need to look inside. As I always say. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.